Hey everybody, I hope you all are doing well and welcome back to Michael's Matters. And as we hit the middle of the month, we get the newest numbers out from the BLS, that is the Bureau of Labor Statistics, that gives us really some great news for seniors and retirees who are on Social Security benefits. So that could be Social Security Retirement, that could be Social Security Disability, SSDI, survivors, spousal benefits, and really all the different iterations of Social Security. Because with the higher CPI number or inflation numbers, that also means that the COLA or the cost of living adjustment for 2024 for Social Security benefits is also going to go up too. So today we're going to be talking about the newest inflation numbers, talking about what this new trajectory means for next year's COLA, and talk about how much the COLA should actually be if it was to accurately and correctly account for the cost that American seniors really have. Now, this is Michael's Matters, and before we get to it, if you like these videos, if you find them interesting, if you find them helpful, or hey, if you at least find them useful, please don't forget to like and subscribe, because it really does help the channel to grow, and we are so thankful for that, and we truly are growing, but also because you get updates when our newest and most informative videos become available. All right, now, let's get down to the video. So first up today, let's get to the newest inflation numbers and take a look at how those changes could potentially change the direction of the COLA or cost of living adjustment. Because the BLS, that is the Bureau of Labor Statistics, who are the government folks who crunch these kinds of numbers and keep tracks of these things, in the month of August, which is the most recent report that we have, they said that inflation in the United States ticked up by 3.7%, up from 3.2% in the previous month of July. Now, the reason for this abrupt change and increase in inflation is mostly going to be related to transportation costs, which typically are one of the main costs that seniors and retirees in the United States have to pay on a month-to-month basis, because things like gasoline, they went up by 13.2%. Fuel oil went up by 19.8%, followed up by transportation that increased by 10.3%, as well as shelter that was at 7.3%. So needless to say, some of those core costs that older Americans and retirees have, shelter and transportation, they went up pretty dramatically and are really starting to eat up a lot of that 8.7% increase from the previous year's COLA that folks on Social Security got. Now, despite the overall inflation numbers going up, that is the CPI-U, that's what that one is, and that tells us really what the overall inflation in the United States is. It's not the measurement that actually determines what the COLA or cost of living adjustment should be for the next year, because that measurement that Social Security uses is something called the CPI-W, or the Consumer Price Index for urban wage earners. And basically what this is a basket of goods specifically for urban wage earners, all their costs that they have throughout the year, and they use that to compare from last year to this year, those prices of those baskets of goods, and they figure out that's what that inflation is for those specific people. And for whatever reason, Social Security uses that specific measurement, the CPI-W, to increase the COLA. What they will do is they will take a 3-month average for the third quarter, so July, August, and September, and that average out of all those CPI-Ws for those 3 months is what becomes the COLA increase. Now, since the report has come out a month behind, we don't know what this month's actual number is for September just as of yet, which is the final piece for the 2024 COLA puzzle, so we'll know what the total cost will be by then, but we won't get that actually out until October, which means we still have at least one more month to kind of speculate on what the COLA should be. That being said, the CPI-W inflation number came out to a pretty big jump in inflation by nearly a whole percentage point, or 100 basis points, from 2.6% in July up to 3.4% in August, which again, that's a lot. Overall, how this affects the 3-month average and potentially the COLA for 2024 is that it's going to help to slow down the downward trend from benefits that we saw in the month of July, the month before. Because in the previous month's 3-month average, so for the months of May through July, we saw that it was actually at 2.83% on average. And that is coming off the earlier months of this year's inflation that were in the mid 4% range. So right now, with the current numbers, including the 3-month average for August, it is still going to be lower than what it was previously, but it comes out to 2.77%. So although it is still lower, it really is going to start putting a halt to that momentum that the downward pressure was having on the COLAs in those previous months. So I think that is good. What that looks like in terms of real numbers, like dollars and cents, it means that based off the current average Social Security benefit for a retiree, which for August was $1,840.27 on average, it meant that with a 2.77% increase in the COLA, benefits would go up by $50.91 a month, or $610.92 more a year, starting as of January, which would also bring the average Social Security benefit in totality month to month to $1,892.41, which actually is pretty close to where it was in the previous month, but it has stayed the same despite having a lower average percentage increase because of the fact that the August Social Security benefit average actually went up. So that is where the COLA would be based on the current snapshot in inflation right now using the CPI-W. But the reality of all this is that the CPI-W never quite really fairly and adequately accounts for the costs that seniors and retirees have across our great country. That is because it is a measurement of a basket of goods designed an average urban wage worker. And most seniors and older Americans in the United States, well, they have costs that are pretty substantially different and usually higher than the average urban wage worker. To be specific, exactly how much a difference there is in the level of inflation or cost that seniors feel in the United States versus how much their COLA increases are accounting for, we need to look at a CPI that is designed for that specific group of Americans, which is called the CPI-E, or the Consumer Price Index for the elderly. When we look at this more accurate measurement of inflation, we can see that it shows a pretty big jump from 3.81%, which was high where it was in the previous months, up to 4.15% in August, which is quite big and quite different from what we see from the CPI-U and the CPI-W, which would mean that on average, over the last 3 months, it would be an average rate of inflation specifically for seniors' costs at 3.88% overall, which is, again, quite a big difference between the CPI-W, which is at 2.77%, and it is a little bit more than a full percentage difference, being cut short of what American seniors actually need to meet their daily needs. Looking at the numbers on the CPI-E inflation and applying it to the average Social Security benefit, it would mean that if this was the true measurement for the COLA, it would have an increase of $71.35 a month, or $856.20 more a year for 2024, rather than the $610.92 annually that would be accounted for by the CPI-W calculation. Which again, ultimately means that seniors are being shorted by $245.28 a year, or $20.44 a month. With, $20.44, that's not a ton, that's not a lot, but it's also not nothing, especially when you consider that these numbers all build upon each other each and every year, as a COLA is a percentage of the total benefit. So when we look at the full retirement time frame that someone is retired, those little adjustments ultimately add up to a lot of difference in benefits. So overall, looking at these numbers, there are a couple of conclusions and predictions that we can make. And I'll take one first from the good folks at the Senior Citizens League, which is a nonpartisan advocacy group, who are predicting that this newest data indicates that they think that the COLA for 2024 will be at 3.2%. This also means that they think the inflation rate will continue to rise through the month of September and beyond, resulting in a number that would be high enough to average out over the 3 months of at least 3.2%, which is definitely possible. That number to hit, by the way, if they were to try to hit that goal, would mean that for next month, for the month of September, that inflation would need to be at 3.6% or above, which, again, definitely very doable. But this could also be bad, because the ideal situation for folks on Social Security benefits with regards to the COLA specifically is what happened last year, when inflation peaked during the COLA test months at Q3, which meant that they got the highest possible COLA, but then inflation drops instantly, meaning that older Americans are able to keep their higher benefits, and then inflation continues to go down, which means their purchasing power actually goes up. But if inflation goes to 3.6% in September and then continues an upward trend, it means that Social Security benefits will start to lose purchasing power every month that inflation stays higher than whatever the COLA ends up being, even if it's at 3.2%. So if it goes to 3.6 and then 3.8 and then 4.0 and 4.5, each of those months would mean that essentially those seniors are losing purchasing power and their dollars begin to buy less and less every year. Of course, hopefully that doesn't happen, but it definitely could with the cost of oil and transportation and housing continue to be on the rise. So we'll just have to wait and see, but next month we will know exactly what the COLA should be. All right, so that's it for today's Michael's Matters, and I really hope that you enjoyed this video, and if you did, if you found it interesting, if you found it helpful, hey, if you at least found it useful, please don't forget to like and subscribe, because it really does help the channel to grow, and we are so thankful that we are growing, but also because you get the newest and most informative videos when they become available. So for Michael's Matters, I'm Michael, hoping that you take care of yourselves, take care of others, and have a happy, healthy day.